Dragon says be patient, but I don't like waiting. If I don't blow soon, wait, they gon' be debating. Don't do it. Should she stay or should she go? I hate to see her leave, but it's on with the show. What we have is real, but if the wind blows, the one thing that's infinite is my flow. You can't divorce that, never had to force that. Got the city riding with me like my tracks on horseback. Whoa, but one time, that ain't gon' cut it. To really make noise, I need about 100. The experts say that takes a lot of funning. So I told Jay, let's get to running. Keep throwing tracks at me till the game is slapped. Happy Mayweather with the mic. Vocals been a tad jabby. Target is the basis of everyone who laughed at me. This ain't hardcore, but musically we have it on my family. I put that on my name. I will always be true to the game. I put that on everything. 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 I put that on my mama. I put that on my wife. I put that on my firstborn baby in my life. I put that on everything. 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 Voted the best local, my aim's been higher. Love my city, but I'd rather have an empire. We're on that highway, what we doing? Road tripping, like them frat boys, but the goal is different. You can be certain I am on my Tyler Durden, trying to get this dream working till my present seems perfect. Yes, sir. I want it flawless when I wake. God made me in his image, so that's all I'm gonna take. I'm out here, homie, without fear on me. And promoting me the first thing you can doubt spear on me. Bottoms up. Go ahead, spill the whole keg. Waterboard if you want, bet I won't beg. Yankee on my back, one-on-ones on my feet. Everything coming to me except for defeat. So as I sever this beat, while spitting effortlessly, I take you out of this world, call it my clever retreat. I put that on my family, I put that on my name. I will always be true to the game. I put that on everything, 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 everything. I put that on my mama, I put that on my wife. I put that on my firstborn baby in my life. I put that on everything. Everything, 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 everything. We got our wings out, the team's coming up. I never worry about who's running up, or have I done enough? Cause if the sun is up, I make noise. Me and my boys run them up, running through towns like a handful of twisters. For each mile I want a fan with a fist up. Plans to resist us, fail miserably. We don't make movies, we make history. And literally, it's being written right now. Got love for Virginia, but I'm glad I left town. Went from living with my mom like a peasant in the basement to being in charge as the president of basic. Look, bruh, I'm always on my job, like these MPs at an overseas farm. That's slacking for the mother guys. I'm infinite, I work till I'm immortalized. I put that on my name. I will always be true to the game. I put that on everything, 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 everything. I put that on my mama, I put that on my wife. I put that on my firstborn baby in my life. I put that on everything, 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 everything. I put that on my family, I put that on my name. I will always be true to the game. I put that on everything, 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 everything. I put that on my mama, I put that on my wife. I put that on my firstborn baby in my life. I put that on everything, 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 everything. Check one. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the Idavox Report here on the Revolution Radio Network. My name is Brian Powers, and in just one quick moment, we're going to welcome in Daryle Lamont-Jenkins, who has been working to fight white supremacy for the last 30 years as a activist, journalist, and also an award-winning producer. So we're really happy to have him. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Revolution Radio Network. Some stuff that we're following and will be coming down the pipe, particularly in North New Jersey, my home state. There are many protests going on
regarding ICE and immigration. The fear is, of course, that under a new Biden regime, that the crimes of these Gestapo Nazis will start to be covered up and glossed over. And we've certainly got plenty of things happening even as the administration came in. And right now we have reports of a second hunger strike in the Bergen County Jail by ICE detainees. And we're getting some reports. I've been speaking with comrades who are involved in that struggle. So we will continue to follow that. It's very early, but I know there are some reports out there that, again, people are hunger striking in ICE detention facilities. And so more to come on Revolution Radio. But right now, let's get into the Idavox Report. Our comrade, Daryle Lamont-Jenkins, was down in our nation's capital today. Where were you at, brother?
Well, sort of.
Okay. So
I want to say hi to everybody. I also want to apologize because it looks like we're having some problems with the embedding. There's some errors that are occurring. I don't know why.
No, there's no error.
I don't think it's
we got zucked. We got zucked, man.
Yeah, but but this is all on YouTube.
Yes. So right now we're streaming right now, but listen, we're just getting the report up and running. It's the early days.
We're just ironing out the kinks. Those who can't see it live right now, this video will be replaced. There will be a video. You'll be able to see this later.
If you want
it now, later. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's up, brother? So whether you're watching today or on another day, where was Daryle Lamont-Jenkins today, and what will we get done?
Okay, I just want to point out that I was not in DC because no one was in DC that wasn't there already. Because the bottom line was you could not get into town. And I knew that going down that was going to be the case. But I just wanted to see just how much I would be able to do and how much activity there would be, even if it was outside of the city. And nothing. Really nothing, because it was kind of like you try to get into town, and all the entranceways into DC were just blocked. You were not getting into town unless you was a resident, and
which in a way leaves an impression. I mean, here we are. We've been celebrating the inauguration of our president in this country. It's been a tradition for us to, for those of us that have national pride, to celebrate the peaceful transition of power in this great democracy.
We gotta stop using that term.
Yeah, I got.
You cannot call it the peaceful transition of power.
To come back with a report of there's nothing going on. It's basically like Christmas didn't come, or we didn't celebrate a holiday. The nation pretty much was changed, and I guess that alone is it's an impression, but. You did want to come back and do a report, so I hope you've got more for us than nothing happened in DC today.
Well, that's pretty much it. But nothing. As far as what I've seen, there wasn't anything. Now inside, there was a few things that were There was a few folks that were inside DC that was reporting that there's some fash that was running around. I mean, at the very least, there was those Christian preachers who are, the ones with the big signs that say God is going to send you all fornicators to hell and all that.
Yeah, those guys are great. Were they there?
Yeah, they were there. And I wouldn't necessarily call them political protesters. I mean, spiritual protesters, street preachers or whatever. Political.
People who should be in a mental asylum.
Some of them should, because they bear false witness all the time, and that's one of the things that I tire of these guys sometimes, because they went to the Comet Pizza over there in Maryland, which is where Pizzagate started. Now, Pizzagate was a lie, but these guys are going to come out and try to say they're saving the children from the pedophile ring that's being held in the pizzeria's basement that they don't have. So it was kind of so in that regard, I would just say, now you start dealing with politics when you start dealing with that crap, and that's when they do need to go. That's when they do need to hit the mental institution. I mean, I'm kind of used to people bearing false witness when it comes to politics, but I really just getting sick of it, especially after 2 weeks ago. So there really wasn't a lot that I've seen other than what I saw on television, and And it was a really interesting. This is the first time I actually was not in the city proper, but it's kind of like a tradition with me since Clinton's second inauguration to at least be down there to deal with the to basically taking the inauguration. I go at least for one of the inaugurations of each president, and that's been the case with Clinton since Clinton since and it was okay. I mean, it was weird not to hear the cheering and the screaming and hollering. Um, but these are the times that we live in, and I think right now people are breathing a little sigh of relief, you know, and they're happy that we don't have to deal with Trump anymore. At least not on this level.
I think that's a very dangerous attitude. I'll be honest with you.
It's a sigh of relief. I didn't say if people are saying that it's over. If people saying
that's
it's over,
exactly
yeah,
what
if they're saying
saying.
that it's over, yeah, that's dangerous.
I was watching. I believe so. I monitored some mainstream media today. I was in the cabin, so I was able to flip around between the horrible corporate media entities which pretend to report news, and I heard on one of them talking heads say that this is all over now that Trump is out of office. And my God, and the media again, the corporate media, and why we need people like you and Revolution Radio and that out there is because the media is simply just glossing over everything as if everything's fine. Joe Biden won and we can all go home now. And that's such a dangerous attitude. And I'm very nervous given the censorship that works, but we're not on Facebook Live right now because a corporate entity decided to censor us randomly, essentially. Like, there's no reason to censor us. We've encouraged people to wear masks and get vaccines, and we've been warning people about the white supremacists that are, raided this Capitol for decades, some of us, and yet we are censored on social media right now, and I'm very scared. And considering that the Obama administration had a horrendous record of cracking down on journalists, on a coordinated national effort to smash Occupy, I'm very nervous that the greater part of America is now sitting back going, Joe Biden's in. All right, it's it now. And we are not, this is not 2012. This is not 2008 when we elected Barack Obama. The white supremacists in this country have been organizing since then because they were so pissed off about having a black president. And we stand here today, 12 years they've been organizing and stocking and gaining militia strength and organizing with ex-military and infiltrating our police. And the left can't get Medicare for all up for a fucking vote.
Well, see, this is one of the reasons why I just keep having to repeat it. And basically, it's at a point where I just it's a matter of reinforcing the fact that it all depends on what we do as a people, how things go forward. Now, they said in his inaugural speech, Biden was saying that he wants the unity, he wants to take on white supremacy and all that. And our mission now is to see to it. I mean, it's not so much, and it's like what I was telling people for the past couple of weeks now. It says, look, you didn't want to vote for Biden, and you don't really know what kind of president he's going to be, but you know what you want. You know what you want to see. Find whatever opening he gives you, him and Kamala Harris gives you, and jump right into it, because I do not want people thinking that now that Trump is out of there, the Proud Boys are going away. Well, technically they are going to go away because they're all getting locked up after January 6th. But the point is, I don't want people to think that the problem's over. The problem solved. The problem was not Trump. It's like what I was saying on Twitter today. Black Lives Matter is not a campaign slogan, and neither is defund the police. Those things are still in effect. You are still going to have to deal with the issues that prompt people to say defund the police, that prompt people to say Black Lives Matter. If you do not, You are just as bad as Trump. I'm just going to be real about that.
Hmm.
You are just as bad as Trump.
The
only
problem is,
difference,
but you
go.
could have Joe Biden saying that, and Joe Biden is. I listened to his speech too, and I felt it was very cookie cutter, and I understand why some people were inspired. The young poet, the young lady who read the poem was.
I loved her. I thought she was out of sight.
Yeah, it's some inspiring words, but again, here's the problem. I'm a very cynical person, and so I will represent the cynical members of our society, which are sitting there, quite frankly, going, "I heard this soaring rhetoric bullshit from Barack Obama, your boy, and oh, I shouldn't use that term. I'm sorry, your president, that you were buddies with, and that you've said you kind of want to bring us back to the time of Obama. You know what I'm saying?" And that's not what that wasn't a successful time for the working class. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a successful time for those of us that had to earn a living and lost our jobs to NAFTA.
It goes back to what I just keep
wants to
saying.
return to Barack Obama's economic policies and soaring rhetoric, and that's why I'm cynical. That's why I'm sitting here today going,
You're
Joe Biden.
supposed to be cynical, but the thing is, whatever it is they do does not mean we can't do what we need to do. I think we have got to stop. I'm an anarchist. I don't rely on government to begin with. I did not start this. I did not start doing what I'm doing based on what president was in office or what congressperson was in office. I did it because I started doing the work I do because I felt that there was an issue that needed to be addressed. That issue will still have to be addressed regardless of who's in office. And the difference between the past 4 years and now is the fact that, let's be real, people were receptive whenever Trump was president because they were scared and they wanted to know what was going on and they wanted to know how to fight it. Now, people still have to be reminded that the fight is still on, and that's not going to be a problem. It all depends on, we got to basically keep everything front page. That's us. Now it falls on our shoulders. We saw this coming. We saw what people were getting ready to do. If we don't make moves to do something about it, the blame is on us. And I don't care how hard it is to do it. You know what the situation is. You got to just basically roll with it and make things happen regardless.
So where do you see? So you mentioned the Proud Boys, and I heard a report that since President Douchebag mentioned them in the debate, that they really started record fundraising. They saw an increase in membership, and they're still feeling as if they're growing despite the loss. And many on the right saw what happened in the Capitol a couple of weeks ago as a victory and have been trying to recruit around it and say we do more of that. Some of that organizing directed into making a show at state capitals. How's that working out for them?
Oh, that's not working out for them at all. Really? Have you seen their little protests at the state capitals? Have exactly. No one has. No, let me take that back. There's a few places where they was able to get maybe 15, 20 people to stand out and scream, "Stop the steal." Jersey, forget it. Jersey.
Well, they had a I believe you interviewed the whole protest.
Yes. No, I didn't. I interviewed half the protest.
Okay. So how many people? How many? There was one guy. There were two people there.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was another guy.
Did you count yourself as one of the people, Daryle?
No, not I. No. Because see, what happened was I didn't see. I saw after me and Bob Botanica had left. And Bob Botanica is an anti-war activist from here in Jersey. For those who are trying to figure that out. And he's going to have and we have an article about him, written by him on Idavox tomorrow.
He needs to join our editorial board. Hi, Bob.
Anyway, we were both getting ready to leave. We were getting ready to leave, and we saw a guy in front of us that was holding a sign, and we were like, "Well, who the hell is this? Is he on our side? Is he on theirs?" And he was over there, and the sign said something about the Supreme Court justice betrayed us or something like that. So this guy got to be about 79, 80 years old. He's out there by himself, and he came here, and he was angry, very, very angry, because none of his other people, he called them he was calling everybody that didn't come out the cowards, and he said this was just bad. This is the bad showing. The dude drove all the way from your favorite town, Tom's River, and all the way out to Trenton, which is what from Trenton that will be what, an hour?
Yeah, maybe 45 minutes an hour, depending.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he drove really, really slow with his knuckles really, really tight on the top of the steering wheel. So let's just
maybe perhaps
maybe an hour and a half.
But the thing is, when you're
doing 30 in the left-hand lane and your blinkers on the whole way, it adds a little extra time. I'm just saying.
Oh, by the way, folks, I should point out this was on Sunday. This was on Sunday. We didn't say exactly what day this was, but yeah, he wasn't happy, and I thought he was the only one. Turns out there was a guy at the State House Annex standing outside the State House Annex with a "Stop the Steal" sign. I didn't know about him until after I read it in the in the paper, or rather in online, and I was like, okay, so there was two. But other than that, I think the Star Ledger had more people. We had 4 people out there.
Star Ledger said
it was media
reporters, really?
It was media, cops, me, and Bob.
Well, that sounds like a party, boy.
Oh, we had a ball, especially when I started showing them the NJEHA flyers. I mean, stickers that were all on lampposts all up and down the street. NJEHA, New Jersey European Heritage Association, and it was so funny too, because I saw because the mayor of Trenton, and I videotaped this, did a press conference, and I'm glad he stood where he stood, because the stickers were behind us, and it would have sucked if he was standing right next to it, not realizing what it was. And I told him what it was. I told him, I don't know how long these stickers were there. I don't think they were there. They were put there for the sake of the rally. I think they had been there for some time, and I asked the mayor this. But the most important thing about it is I basically brought those stickers to the mayor's attention. So you probably won't be seeing too many of those stickers in Trenton all that much anymore. And yeah, I know Dan D'Ambly, who leads this group, is probably thinking I'm calling this bluff. And yeah, in Trenton, yeah, that's a bluff that's going to be a lot of fun to call.
Yeah, I really wouldn't want to get caught putting them stickers up like you did in Philly either, dumbass.
Oh, no. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So some of these right-wing groups, like we know, I did see a report that Dan's group there was in Washington for some of the rioting and things like that. Have there been significant, like, have you seen, I know, has there been any significant media attention given to groups other than the Proud Boys? I mean, honestly, like, the Proud Boys are like the head. I think they're one of the larger groups and a real concern, but there's, I mean, the Boogaloo movement, which I'm fearing is now an even more radicalized element, and something that's like fast becoming like our version of ISIS, basically, where you have, revolutionary fascists, and then you have revolutionary fascists who just feel that, you're never going far enough unless you're, creating violence. I mean,
well, in other parts of the country, you definitely saw the Boogaloo Bums doing their thing. But I would tell you, in this particular instance, when you're talking about the events of January 6th and all, QAnon was the ones that were really representing. I was talking with my rep down in DC, my people down in DC, and I was thinking that, the way the Proud Boys have been getting arrested for January 6th, they might have had the most people out of all the groups that have been getting snatched up.
Hmm.
QAnon. QAnon probably has that honor.
What
And
is Q? How is QAnon able to organize physical events like this? Like I always thought, honestly, man, like even as involved as I am in Antifa work and work with you, I always thought of them more as internet trolls and people that may be organizing forums and maybe stockpiling. But to see, a level of organization where you can essentially, be involved in an assault on a Capitol building, I guess that's where I could admit being naive and surprised at their capability. How is
one
that
of the things that's really important, is that when you're dealing with conservatives, when you're dealing with right wingers, you're dealing with people who are focused on making lots and lots of money, or already have made lots and lots of money. So they put all that money into their political activism, which will also generate lots and lots of money. So QAnon gets lots and lots of money. And we don't. Because we're not looking for that. We're looking to try to find solutions. I mean, we're looking for it now because we need help. But the fact of the matter, and this is who we're up against. But but even when we have folks that are on our side that flock over to theirs, it usually is because they're trying to get paid. And because liberals don't pay.
Liberals pay, but liberals are always giving money to the Democratic Party or to nonprofit NGO types and to kind of establishment organizations that basically uphold white supremacy. I mean, so I think that when you talk about Antifa left, the far left, which is what I consider, you say you're an anarchist, I consider myself more in the line of Marxist Leninism, but let's look at ourselves for what we are. We are far left, given the country that we live in. Now, if we were in Europe or in other countries, we would be just another brand of politics in the larger political sphere, right? But I think the way money flows into our not just political system, but into like our image, like people think of giving money to politicians as part of their image. So if I give money to the liberal elite who have George Clooney and this soaring rate, then I'm a part of that. I'm one of the liberal elite now because that's who I give money to. If I give money to people who do grassroots work and hang out with homeless people and actually combat this stuff, you're more of a ragtag soldier, and that's not how I think. Mainly the donor class, from the middle class up, right? Because even middle class people will give money to causes, right? But they tend to give money to these socially acceptable causes as opposed to people that, really confront fascism in the way that Idavox does or does true, grassroots media reporting. Even, I'll even give a little shout out to Democracy Now!, although I'm not happy with the way and the direction that they've gone content-wise. They don't operate on this gigantic $1 billion budget like an MSNBC or a CNN does, and the ability to get money into our cause, like so the right wing does, is really, it's systemic, right? And we need as the left, as sitting here on the left is trying to be, I think we need to emphasize the fact that we need donors to start to step up, to look at where your money goes and say, am I giving money just to foster to make myself feel better about? Because look, I saw some commercial on TV and I gave money, or am I giving money to really, combat these social ills of white supremacy? And
by the way, One People's Project /Idavox, we're a 501c3. Your donations will be tax exempt. Just go to onepeoplesproject.com.
All right.
You might as well do that. You might as well do that commercial.
Absolutely. And given that's what I'm talking about. These organizations definitely need more financial support. And so
it's not like we're trying to get rich. I mean, the folks, here's the thing that that's really important to remember when it comes to the right. They are the establishment, even when they're out of power, like now, for example, technically. They are still the establishment. I said technically. I mean, they are still the establishment. That's why we always get childed every time we we call them names and hurt their feelings because it makes it, we always get told that we shouldn't be trying to make them mad, and our attitude is, do you see what they're doing? But this is the reason why we get that blowback, because they were all one and the same sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, the money, they're trying to protect old money. The right is always, they always talk about they're trying to protect traditions. Traditions have a pay tag. You know, I can't even talk right now, but traditions basically, there's a price on it, a price tag, a pay tag. and and the truth of the matter is, that's what's more important. Not so much the tradition, but the what kind of money that tradition generates. So and that's what you're up against. You're basically, whenever you're going up against the right, in some respects you're grassroots. I say some because you still have that so-called liberal side that still has a little bit of fight when it comes to these guys. But the truth of the matter is, um you're up against that old money, and that old money's fighting back. When they recognize, however, that you have the potential of being new money, that's when they start lowering their guard. That's when they start becoming your friends, and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, no matter how much you become new money to them, you have to remember that it's not about the money. If people give you money, you're supposed to use it. You're supposed to use it for the mission.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my attitude when it comes to this kind of stuff. You're supposed to use it for what you believe in. And if you're not doing that, and I see you in the Maserati, when you get out that Maserati, I really want to hit you upside the head with the proverbial crowbar.
The main car that I use right now is been parked in front of my house for 3 weeks with a bad brake line, and I smoke weed in it. So I'm just saying, we're not using that here. Your donations go to good use when you spend it on your comrades, and and I think it's just one aspect of the combat. Now let's get into, I guess, what 2021 is going to mean now. As far as how you see the lay of the land, right? We've got what you think of, you've defined as, I guess, easier political terrain for us to operate into. I'm not so sure about that, and I'm going to remain skeptical and pessimistic, but I'm going to go with your strategy, because remaining positive is important. And so I appreciate where you're coming from with the idea that Joe Biden is in there, and we got to make the most of whatever it is. That's
really what it is.
That's the truth.
Trying to make the most of it. It really, ultimately, that's what it is. Like, if you notice, I'm not as critical. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to slam the new administration right now, because I want to see what we can do. And really, the optimism does not come so much from looking at Democrats and saying, "Hey, here's our chance." No, it's actually looking at ourselves and saying, "Okay, you wanted this chance, let's take it." That's where it comes from. We do have to recognize that people do change their attitudes when things are going their way. So it's kind of like, okay, you feel better about this, let's go. All right. I mean, it really is that.
I think by being cynical, I am doing my part, and maybe hoping to keep people on guard for not making the same mistakes we did under Obama, and not falling into the same pitfalls of complacency and stuff like that. But I guess what I'm saying is, you need people like me going, it's never good enough, or else they get too relaxed, man.
Always, but at the same time, I don't want people to start freaking out thinking that all is lost either. I mean, I hate the thing. I don't know. No, might be lost. I got to make this point, because
I guess we have to start to consider that all might be lost.
No, it's not. Otherwise, what the hell is the point in doing any of this?
Because it might be. Because I didn't say it was definite, and I'd rather fight. I'd rather fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not. But if you're gonna ask people to fight,
I don't have a crystal ball. We got climate change coming. We got all these
But here's
problems.
the thing.
And Joe Biden's our answer. I'm not so happy about it. What can I say, man?
Hey, but here's the thing about that. When you're asking, I mean, when I ask people to come to step up this fight, I'm not going to say that it won't be hard, because it damn sure is. But I don't want to be like, yeah, join this fight. You're gonna die. No, I'm going to say there is a fighting chance. I'm going to say that we are going to go out there and we're going to get things done. And I'm going to point to people who have gotten things done in the past. Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Ida B. Wells. I mean, there's too many people out there that have made things happen. We have to just basically take their cues, take the cues from them, and then just jump and just run with them. But the thing is, I am tired of people thinking that they can't do shit. That's why we had Trump for 4 years, let alone any at all. We shouldn't have had Trump at all. That's the thing. But when Trump got in there, we had always had the power to take him down. Always. The people that were in the way were the politicians. And that's why we always got to talk about that strength that we have within ourselves. We really do. Because honestly, that's what Occupy was about. And I've said that before. When people were coming out to support Occupy, it was about trying to find solutions beyond the corrupt political process. And it was that corrupt political process that shut it down. We weren't supposed to stop. And we didn't, because right after Occupy, we got Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter is rocking and rolling.
We keep growing. I do think that the left is gaining ground. I think that Bernie Sanders had a lot to do with cutting its throat this last time around and really just stifling what could have been a much better year for us, even if Biden had become the president from a grassroots operating level. I think we kind of went down with the ship there as opposed to rising up. And I think that's unfortunate. But you are talking about positive stuff. So let's get into, like what we're doing. We have now this new president. We have new political ground. I and Leah and our editorial board have worked the last month on rebranding. As you know, we used to be New Jersey Revolution Radio, but we've gone national. We're going to cover more. We're going to work more with comrades around the country. We have an editorial board that people can become members of and not only support us, but also have input and contribute, come backstage on shows and things like that. So we're expanding here. And Idavox, the Idavox Report, hopefully is just a part of that. So, yes, I'm cynical, but I guess we have to fight. We have to fight because, my kids live in this world and I do want it to be better. And so I'm with you in the spirit of revolution. Let's put it that way. So
it's basically what is going on today that we could exploit to our own ends. That's basically
so what do you find? Like, what do you see as let's talk about something. What do you see as something maybe now? You just had we're into this presidency for 9 hours already. We've heard some rhetoric. They've got into their new digs. What do you see as a potential avenue for Idavox in particular in your mission?
Well, they said honestly, they said he wanted to deal with white supremacy and deal with the knuckleheads that stormed the Capitol 2 weeks ago. Is what I said before about exploiting it. I'm definitely going to take that opportunity. I mean, if you got people, it's on the front burner now. It's on the front burner, and even if they are not 100% committed to that fight, I damn sure am. And I'm bringing a whole bunch of other people that damn sure are. So my thing is, they opened the door a crack, and we're going to just ease on in. I mean, if they're going to position themselves to be a solution, or at least look like a solution, I want to be there for it so that we can ensure that they are a solution. There's too many of these assholes out there right now that need to be dealt with. We can't just keep complaining about them online day after day after day after day. There has to be a comeuppance. Now, after what's been going on with the Proud Boys after January 6th, I think you're not going to really see them all that much anymore, but that's all up to us. That's all up to us because, I mean, Joe Biggs, one of the biggest trash talkers in the whole crew, got arrested today because they caught video of him in in the Capitol. Um, and a lot of people who were in the Capitol were in fact Proud Boys. Matter of fact, I should rephrase that. A lot of the Proud Boys were in the Capitol. They're just picking them up left and right, or their associates. So the thing is, we have to basically just make it clear to the public and say, this is who we were dealing with. This and this dude here is your fire chief, or your friendly neighborhood police officer, or your teacher, and they were at that thing. So it's
that's what I wanted to ask you next. I guess that was you're leading me into kind of like my next question, which was, so a lot of people are getting exposed, and I actually got some calls from some friends that are like, I saw my coworker down there, or my coworker was, they know that their coworker was there. They don't, and I didn't get any reports that, they were involved in anything other than being there. But it disturbed people to the point of where they're calling me and saying, hey man, like, this dude's in my shop and like he's pissed all the time and he posts this weird shit on Facebook and he's got a QAnon symbol and now people are aware of what QAnon is and means, and they didn't realize it. They just said, oh, yeah, he's and this has been a couple of times that it's happened where people are just identifying people who've got this politics and this hate in them, and let me ask you, what do you do in that situation? Let's just say my coworker, I've just woken up to the idea that my coworker is sympathetic to some of this lunacy. And now I'm uncomfortable at work. I don't, African Americans and women and other people of oppressed groups now understand where this person is politically and what he thinks of them in his core. What is a working class?
I think you have to take it up. Don't confront them personally, unless you have that kind of relationship with them. I don't know. But my feeling is, in the workplace, that has no place in the workplace. Even just straight up political conversations. Most workplaces don't like it when they have conversations, political conversations.
I taught a lot of politics in the workplace. I mean, it's where I got my politics, and
this is different. Yeah. This is different. But these are politics of people who want to kill you because you are not on their side with those politics. Yeah. So the attitude that you got to have is take it up with HR. Get some other people together that are also in that workplace that are just as concerned. And unfortunately, if you're the only one, you may have a little bit of
I can tell you from a guy that represented, I represented people that complained about these kinds of things, and that's mostly a useless endeavor. Our government and even in union environments with union contracts and servicing state workers, racism is prevalent. Not just exists, it's prevalent, and there are departments that are run by racists.
So that's plan A.
Yeah.
Plan B is that you start talking to people outside the workplace. Like they are coming to you asking for help. They are coming to me asking for help. The only thing that I will do, however, is just expose the person, because I have a website that says, hey, this person is such and such and such and such, and they work at such and such and such and such, and they are about QAnon. They are about the Proud Boys. They are neo-Nazis, and so on and so forth. And it should this person have this kind of an influence on your life in general?
It's so very important.
And that's where it begins, and that's where it ends. I mean, you can resolve this issue without causing any harm to yourself. In fact, it'll be foul if it caused harm to you. So, and that's one of the ways, how, because you have to have support. So go outside of your workplace and start telling people what it is you got to deal with. And if you can't find that strength within the workplace, because the support is out there. You just have to basically let your concerns known to the right people, and we're the right people sometimes. I mean, Idavox, One People's Project, we're the right people. Brian is the right people.
I try. I try, and it's frustrating. I do, you know, and this comes in. I'm asking these questions, which I kind of already know some of the answers to from, you know, having the personal representation experience of being a union guy. You know, when people have an issue in the workplace, it's particularly upsetting to me because the workplace is a place where you never as a worker have that much power, and you have to rely, like you said, on an HR manager or a supervisor or somebody in power who takes it seriously and thinks more about the repercussions of the racism and the toxic environment caused, as opposed to just making the business look bad. And I think a lot of HR and a lot of bosses right away say, well, if I've got a racist, I've got to kind of cover that up and protect them, or else I'll look bad, or quite frankly, they may be sympathetic to their views at times, you know. And you know, Trumpers are everywhere. So I think that it's a culture and what you accept in the culture of a workplace that really, you know, will do that. And that's something that has to come from better leadership overall in our society. So I appreciate that. I know that, you know, when I organized and people would come to me and I would try to talk to somebody, and I had a couple of instances where I had to confront people who had said racist things, and I did try to get to them, and I would also try to get to somebody close to them. And
Yeah,
that's a coworker. For me, it would be, you know, union environment. You just try to find a coworker that got along with them, that, you know, maybe could have a conversation with them and try to influence them that way positively. You know, before you could go to management, because management, again, you would sometimes make it work.
But I would say,
what I wanted to get to is, you know, it's important for those of us that have family members that have close friends that we can talk to, if we can approach them, to do that, because the people being affected by their racism, those coworkers that can't talk to them, the people on the fringes, are really the victims, because that aggressive racism is how they are asserting power over people. And it does make people feel weak, and it does make people feel like they can't speak up, or they're going to be further victimized by essentially what's a bully. So if you're in a position where you could talk to somebody, try to learn how to first. I think it's important, because I have taken wrong approaches, as we all have, sometimes trying to make things better and we make them worse. But if you can, I would encourage you to try. I mean, I think what's going to happen? They ain't going to get more racist.
Well, I agree with you on that one. I think the family members are probably going to be the first people you want to go to before you start going even further out. I mean, it should be your workplace, your family, and then outside help. You know,
every situation is different. I mean, there's situations where
every situation is different.
Mental illness, and a person needs to go see a fucking doctor because they're just, you know.
Yeah, every situation is different. And sadly, not all situations are going to be resolved. Not always. I mean, sometimes it is a tough gig, because for all you know, you could be trying to call out the president of the company. And I mean, worst case scenario there. But the fact of the matter is that scenario does exist. And we have to, and then you have to ask, well, how is it you want to approach things? So, I think the people that contact us, you and I, they are at their wits' end, and they feel like they needed to know somebody, that needed someone to know about this particular person. If they have gotten to that point, then that means that person is really a problem.
Yeah,
especially if they went to DC. I mean,
kind of if you see something, say something kind of situation where.
Well, you had
if anything,
family members turning.
I'll tell you, if anything, you're caring about that person, because to be that far into this nonsense to where you're worrying other people about being violent in your workplace, something's wrong with that person.
Yeah, and that's the important thing about the right-wing extremists. If there is somebody that's about that right-wing extremism, you can your company can sit there and talk about how they have their freedom of speech or what have you, but after the events of 2 weeks ago, basically they keep those characters on at their peril, you know, because they've already made it clear that this is what they want to do. They will kill you if you do not believe that Trump had the election stolen from him. That kind of nonsense, you know. So, and I see we got 5 minutes left in the game, so
we do. I was just queuing up the outro music, but we got you know, as always, you have a few minutes left to wrap it up.
Of course,
if you got your plugs and letting people know where you're at.
Well, As I said earlier, you can always hit us up at onepeoplesproject.com. We also have our website, idavox.com, which is our newsline, as you could probably guess by the name of the show. We're also on Facebook. One People's Project is One People's PROJ. Idavox is at Idavox OPP, and I'm at D Lamont-Jenkins.
Yeah.
So and you can also find us on Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram as D Lamont-Jenkins as well. If you want to try to donate to One People's Project, you can find that information up on OPP at onepeoplesproject.com. Or you can donate. I have a Cash App that I use for One People's Project. It's under that $ Notorious DLJ. So
nice.
That's easy to remember. So
Good deal.
And that's plugs.
Thanks a lot, Daryle. Thanks a lot to our audience out there in Idavox land. This has been the Idavox Report, brought to you by Revolution Radio at RevRadNat, that at RevRadNat. I am Brian at NJRR_Brian. You can find us on the web, www.njrevolutionradio.com. And the reason why we make the Idavox Report is because Idavox is on our editorial board and they contribute so much. You too can be on the editorial. That's www.njrevolutionradio.com. Regular productions of NJRR Live are starting up really soon, plus new productions of new programs. We will see you very soon. Solidarity, everybody.
Thrown against the car, handcuffed, and that's what happened last night.
The police kicked in the door, shot him twice in the chest, and died.
Before you knew it, we had 500 families. We had over 100 volunteers calling us. We were on the phone constantly.
I can't get it. And I got one police department telling me they don't know who's in charge. I got another police department here. Everybody's got a gun and nobody knows who's in charge. Did anybody figure out who's in charge yet? Is there anybody in charge here? Any police officer in charge? Are you in charge? I can't find anybody in charge. That's the problem.